Good evening, I'm Greg Kerr.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Tiffany Murphy. We want to go straight to this video that a viewer sent us.
It's a Highway 96 northbound bridge near Village Creek and north of the Paradise Water Park. TxDOT officials say the northbound lane is closed indefinitely. Floodwaters of Village Creek caused the roadway on the bridge approach to collapse. Please take note this has affected only the northbound lane. The collapsed lane is located between Lumberton and Silsbee north of Village Creek. For current road conditions, we always want to remind you, visit drivetexas.org. Well, a major operation is underway at the Jack Brooks Regional Airport at this hour as we look at hundreds of Southeast Texans who are displaced by Harvey and are getting flown out of our area to Dallas.
Those flights again headed to Dallas, and we are going to go out live with KFDM's Angel San Juan. Angel?
Guys, yes, exactly what Greg was saying. This is a major operation, and this is the way it's working. You see these buses, fewer buses right now, but these buses carried Southeast Texans who had to evacuate their homes because of the floods. These evacuees have been to numerous shelters, and finally they were brought in from Beaumont, Port Arthur, even from Orange County and Hardin County. They were brought down here first to the Montaigne Center, and from the Montaigne Center they were told that they were being brought to the airport. They came here on these buses to the airport, and here are actually they've been cleared out pretty much, so we should get another group coming out of this bus, but then they are processed through this line right here with federal agents. Basically, I've been calling it like a makeshift TSA line where they're checked to make sure they have no weapons, and once they're checked and there are no weapons, then they get on C-130s. We have some video of these Southeast Texans getting on these C-130s, and basically so far we know that yesterday 1,200 were flown out of the area, and today it's up to 700. So a total of 2,000 Southeast Texans have already been flown out of the Jack Brooks Airport. And we want to just basically tell you that once they're in Dallas, they're going to basically a mega shelter at the Dallas Expo, and they are told about that so they can tell their relatives that they will be at a mega shelter at the Dallas Expo. But we want to make clear that this has all been made possible not only by the military and first responders, but by a lot of Southeast Texans who have come out here with donations, because they're providing these folks with toiletries, food, stuff to drink like water, ice. But in order for this operation to continue, they're needing the public's help. And right now, the request they need, anybody that can bring to the airport Ziploc bags and trash bags, they are in need of those. And it's really easy to do. Anybody in the area that can get to the airport, just go. There's a sign pointing them to the area for donation. So again, this operation will continue until all those Southeast Texans, like the ones you are seeing coming out of this bus, are transported to Dallas. We're live at the Jack Brooks Regional Airport. I'm Angel San Juan, KFDM 6 News.
Well, tonight more of you are telling us water is returning to your taps. Several large companies, including Tiger and Dragon, are helping install large pumps to pull water from the Neches into the city's water supply system. The city water pump and wells were overwhelmed by floodwaters from Tropical Storm Harvey. Although water is slowly returning to some, the pressure is low. And Officer Haley Morrow says there is something everyone needs to do before drinking that water.
They're working on it. It's not set into place yet, but we are hearing people saying they're having water that's low pressure. The message we want to get out, and we're working on that boil water notice, is you're going to have to boil that water, right, because there's no telling if it's contaminated or not.
Meantime, local businesses like Jason's Deli and Giglio Distributing, along with the city of Beaumont, the Southeast Texas Food Bank, and other nonprofits, making sure Beaumont residents have clean drinking water. Hundreds of Beaumont residents lining up for hours. There will be more water distributed every day until water is restored, including again tomorrow at the Southeast Texas Food Bank from noon until 3. We'll update all of this information where you can get clean drinking water on our KFDM Facebook page. Meantime, in Port Arthur, as floodwaters recede in some areas, the cleanup process begins. KFDM's Jessica Crawford met with one young family who's starting over and has a request for the city they say could save Port Arthur residents time and money.
The sound of construction, replacing the sound of rushing floodwaters in this Port Arthur neighborhood.
It's tragic. Boats were just coming up and down all all through my neighborhood, it was boats everywhere. You couldn't get in here no other way.
That water got into Ivan Ferris's Fifth Avenue home. He recently remodeled for his fiancée and 2 daughters.
I have 2 daughters. I have one that's a year and a half, and then one of them that's 4 years old, and I'm trying to save all their toys and everything.
His wish from the city as he rebuilds his home from the floor up?
Let us rebuild, just let us rebuild, because if we have to get back to code, most of these people around here, they don't have the money for it.
In a city where people are starting over after the devastating impact of Harvey, water still covers some roads, vehicles caught in its wake, even days later. Many in Port Arthur sharing the same struggle.
It's very sad to see those kind of, moments. So it's very touching.
Ferris says his story is not unique, but it's one he hopes will end better than it started for those trying to rebuild in Port Arthur.
Some people, this is all they have, and they can't come back home. They just can't come back home. They can't.
In Port Arthur, I'm Jessica Crawford.
And tonight at this hour, rescues are still ongoing. The Coast Guard has set up an information center at the U.S. Coast Guard station in Port Arthur, where multiple government agencies are meeting to continue rescue and evacuation efforts.
What a rebuilding effort this is going to be over the next weeks, months,
unimaginable.
Years. Yeah. Well, it has been another sunny and warm day around Southeast Texas.
But a lot of Southeast Texans right now concerned about the rising waters in the Neches River, along with others. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Greg Bostwick.
All right, of course, the big concern is the Neches right now and also the Sabine River. The Neches is coming up a little higher than what was earlier forecast. About another foot to go. We're at 2150 for tomorrow's forecast. That should be around daybreak Saturday morning. And the record, of course, just completely shattered. I mean, to break a record by about 8.5 feet is pretty impressive. And certainly that's what we're looking at coming up for Saturday morning. And of course, look at the flood stage, 4 feet. What a flood is all you can say on the Neches River. Now, as we go over toward the Sabine River at Deweyville, coming up late this evening, that Friday is 31.5. It'll be looking at the record, of course, not being challenged there, so that's at least good news. Unfortunately, of course, hurricane season means we still have to watch other things. I think, though, I have some fairly good news about Irma coming up a little bit later.
All right, Greg, thank you. Significant flooding conditions continue to block roads and highways around the city, and Highway 69 is one of them. Camilla Rambaldi joins us now from near Interstate 10, and that, of course, leads to 69 North. Camilla?
That's correct. Well, Highway 69 here is completely flooded. We're just about a quarter mile out from Lumberton. You can only get around here simply by boat. Rescuers have been going around all day helping people get to higher ground. A part of Highway 69 shut down, completely flooded. Water surrounding street signs, trucks, and light poles.
I can't go to work right now, so might as well help somebody.
It has been nonstop for Ryan Moore, helping people get across from Lumberton, a flooded city about a quarter mile from here. You can't get to it at all.
For 6 days, I've been out there since last Friday, and water got 4.5 foot deep up there.
It's water that's touching roofs of homes.
I've never ever seen it this deep around here.
Just incredible. Even Texas Department of Transportation officials like Sarah Dupre,
yeah, we're sleeping here,
are stuck. She can't go home from work.
The rivers and the bayous are all overflowing. This storm has produced things that we have never seen before.
I didn't know what to think.
And people like Jimmy Poe, who left Lumberton before the storm hit.
It wasn't up right then. I just got out and went and got me a motel.
Stuck too.
The next morning I went to Beaumont to get me some things, a few groceries and things, and then I couldn't get back to Lumberton. Hell, I was confused.
Whether on land or in the water, people here are doing what they can to stay safe.
Everybody's coming together, come down here and help, and it's really a good thing.
And right now, TxDOT officials say they are working around the clock to clear the roadways, but obviously this is gonna take some time. And the biggest reminder from officials is to turn around, don't drown. Back to you guys.
All right, Camilla, thank you so much. And obviously, advice that we can still use and may need to for a while.
Still to come tonight,
we're going to visit with Beaumont Police Chief Jimmy Singletary. He'll join us in the studio right after this.
You are watching KFDM's Live at 5 with Greg Kerr, Tiffany Murphy, featuring Jasmine Stiles and Chief Meteorologist Greg Bostwick. This is Live at 5.
Well, obviously, so much going on around southeast Texas and right here in Beaumont, dealing with flooding and rescue and all kinds of stuff going on to try to rally the city behind and the water supply, all that stuff. Let's bring in Police Chief Jimmy Singletary, who's nice enough to come into the studio today. Thank you, Chief, for coming in.
You're very welcome.
As you look at what has transpired over the last, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days now, how would you assess the city's response from a police standpoint up to now?
Well, I'm a realist and somewhat of an optimist. I'm really proud of it. We've had a very good response to all the things that have happened and been thrown at us. I'm very proud of our officers. They worked tirelessly the last 5 or 6 days, actually about a week, to prepare for us, some of them in our EOC, and they under horrible conditions. And we've had officers that have. There's about 50 officers now that have water in their homes. And they are out, a majority of them are working either on the streets right now or in their EOC. They don't have any idea how bad the water has affected their homes, but they have such a great attitude. They're doing their job, and just like you guys, y'all are adapting. And I'm proud of our police officers and our emergency management crew. They've done a heck of a job. Those civilians, our dispatchers, and I'm really proud of 99.9% of our citizens. They have really supported us, and it's been really great. And the outpouring from not only the state, but nationwide has been tremendous.
Mm-hmm. Sir, I know that a lot of folks are concerned about the potential for looting. We've heard about some happening already in Port Arthur. What steps is your department taking to make sure that doesn't happen?
We've had no looting at all. And again, we got a long way to go, and we know that. We're adapting to the schedules personnel-wise and concentrating in areas where we may think there may be a problem. But right now, we've had no looting, and it's amazing the things that are going on social media. The things that are wrong, and but we've had no looting. We've had Beaumont, the city of Beaumont's not flooding. We're not evacuating anybody. A massive evacuation. So we're hanging in there, just like a lot of folks, just like you guys, and like I said, the citizens are being very responsive. They're being very patient. I know we've got a long way to go. But as of right now, I'm proud of what we've done, and I'm proud of what our citizens have done.
We've got about 30 seconds left. What would you say to people that may want to go out and loot a little bit? What would you say to them right now?
Now, it really wouldn't be a good time to loot because there's a lot of people out there that are going to take care of their own property, and we can't control them. We're asking our citizens to be patient and let the police officers do the job.
Okay, Chief Jim Singletary, thank you so much for being with us. We'll have you back here at 6 o'clock, I do believe.
I
if you
think
don't
so.
mind hanging around a little bit.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Sir.
We'll delve into this a little bit more.
Coming up next on Live at 5, a family records their terrifying moments during Harvey and their rescue. It was all caught on camera when we return.
And now Greg Bostwick, your weather authority.
Well, of course, we've had a pretty good day, a pretty hot day, though. In fact, folks are working and recovering from the storm, certainly feeling that, the lack of air conditioning. Up to 90 degrees today. We're going to be in that ballpark again tomorrow. Humidity pretty high, at least the wind's not much of a factor, and of course, no rain, maybe the most important thing at this point. Let's take a look at the satellite view, and then we'll look at Irma coming up. You can see the remnants of Harvey moving through Tennessee, some showers and thunderstorms out over the eastern Gulf, but most of the southern plains in good shape. Some storms down in Corpus Christi, up near Amarillo, a few. We've had a couple isolated showers popping up near Lake Charles this afternoon, eastbound over toward Morgan City, but nothing in our area, and we should stay generally dry coming up. There's a small chance of an isolated shower. Highs in the upper 80s, right around 90 in Huntsville, 91 in College Station, 93 over toward Austin. Now, Irma is quite a hurricane. Looks like it's going to be making a run for Category 4. Winds now about 115, 120 miles per hour, and the eye becoming more and more evident, which always indicates a strengthening hurricane. See the eye very well defined, and it should continue to move generally toward the west. over the next couple of days. Let's take a look at the track we're looking at. Right now it's located here way off to the west of the Cape Verde Islands and east of the northern leewards. Put it to motion. You can see it kind of turning a little bit to the west-southwest, Category 3, and then comes on up here into the area east of Puerto Rico, Category 4. I mean, it's going to be a powerhouse storm, 130, 135 mile per hour winds. Looks like, though, it's going to be mainly a factor for the eastern seaboard. We don't think it's going to come into the Gulf. We'll talk more about that, what's going to hopefully guide that thing away from the Gulf tonight at 6. And some good news, Pine Island Bayou continues to fall. We expect it to perhaps get below a flood stage early next week as it continues to drop at a pretty good pace. Village Creek also falling very nicely, already down to 34.7 after it broke the flood stage record. Dam B continues to see dropping ranges there as they reduce the flow coming out of Dam B. And the biggest problem, I guess, is the Neches River in Beaumont still going to crest tomorrow morning at 21.5. And we're also looking at the Deweyville situation, 31.5, coming up late this evening, cresting. So we're about to go east the top of the mountain, so to speak, on Beaumont and come downhill over the weekend. Much better conditions. Partly cloudy skies for the lakes tonight, upper 60s, kind of cool. And for the Triangle, partly cloudy, should be around 70 degrees. Tomorrow it looks like our highs will be up around 90, partly cloudy skies, and pretty much the same for the Triangle, highs in the upper 80s near 90 with no significant chance of rain. As far as the extended forecast goes, looks pretty dry. Don't see much chance until maybe Sunday, Monday, a small chance of showers there. And a front coming in on Wednesday, cooler weather by the end of next week. That looks really good. And we'll be back after this break.
No, we'll take a break. That's right.
We're changing it up today.
Change of routine. All right. Caught on video, one Port Arthur family records the moments they were trapped in their apartment complex by Harvey's rising water and their rescue.
Today, they finally got the chance to go home and take a look at the damage. They allowed CBS Austin's Adela Uchida to follow along as they unlocked their front door for the first time in days.
It is a day of assessment for people in Port Arthur. The flood water has receded enough that they can take a look at their homes. One family let us tag along as they opened their door for the first time since Wednesday. This dramatic cell phone video was captured by a Port Arthur woman as she waited for rescue. Even the heartbreaking moment. A boat passed them by, but another boat came after that.
We got Frank that was so generous that came, picked us up.
Here's the relief.
He from Mississippi, came all the way to help us.
And rescuers finally picked them up. Today, though, a different set of emotions. Mia Paul and her husband, Gary Robertson, returned home for the first time since Harvey drove them out.
That was really a high moment, and I'm just happy it started.
First, the car rolled up against an apartment building. After a few tense moments, the car started up. Then they moved on to the apartment where they were afraid of what they would find.
There's still water on the floor.
The damage is significant, but a lot of the things that mattered
I am blessed and I'm thankful for what I have.
Are okay. Their son's new shoes for school.
And that's all he's worried about. So right. We are right. We
How old are you?
12.
And things that can't be replaced, like family pictures.
Well, one good thing about it.
Yeah,
all right.
We are right.
And even more.
I just thank the Lord, y'all, for real, because my son's safe, my wife's safe, I'm safe.
And a reminder that people affected by Harvey should file their FEMA claims as quickly as possible. That's disasterassistance.gov. In Port Arthur, I'm Adela Uchida.
Coming up next on Live at 5.
A massive operation set up at Ford Park. How some of these Marines are dealing with a disaster in their own home state when we come back.
The Department of Defense activated the U.S. Marine Corps to respond in the wake of Harvey's devastating flood. After spending a day in Houston, the mission soon became Beaumont.
Now, many of these reserve units are native Texans. KFDM's Courtney Shoneman talked to members of that unit about what the last 48 hours has been like responding to a disaster in their home state.
This is the 4th Assault Amphibian Battalion. They took these 28-ton tracks that can navigate both floodwaters and roadways into some of the most devastated areas around Beaumont, in one day saving more than 300 flood victims.
We rode into neighborhoods with 11, 12-foot water depths up to the second story, and just panic around, and a lot of people that were quite literally desperate.
Thursday, Major John Kennedy's battalion partnered up with the Florida Swiftwater Rescue Team. They made their way into neighborhoods no one else could reach.
It's very hard, but if someone's gonna come help, you want it to be you.
323 lives were saved that day. And while stranded flood victims were counting on this battalion to rescue them, many of the Marines themselves had an intimate connection to the storm and its devastation.
This is our hometown. We have boys from the area.
Gunnery Sergeant Alan Daigle is from Pearland. Before making their way to Beaumont, his crew spent a day doing water rescues in his own neighborhood.
It's helping our family out. Texans, we stand together and we have that Texas pride, and it means something to the Marines to come out here and to pull anybody out of a house. That's family to us.
And the feeling is mutual.
Can I have a chicken?
Okay, chicken is here.
To show her appreciation, Two Lamb drove 2.5 hours from Houston to Beaumont to feed them.
Just want to thank them for helping one of the people, the victim in this Harvey storm. So that's it.
A sure upgrade from the military MREs they've been living off of all week.
Thank you.
Proving that the bond of Texans helping Texans is stronger than any storm. In Beaumont, Courtney Shoneman reporting.
Friends, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, we will continue our coverage of the aftermath of Harvey coming up at 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for watching Live at 5. See you back here in 30 minutes.
Good night.